Tsunami hazards and public awareness and response in Sri Lanka, and this is based on a study carried out at the Civil Engineering Department of the University of Moratuwa, and I am AHR Ratnasooriya. Now, as you are probably aware, the tsunami in 2004 was perhaps the biggest natural disaster in the country. But at that time, the country was totally unprepared for the disaster, and severe damages were caused in the coastal region of the country. Tsunamis have not been frequent in Sri Lanka, but the event in 2004 and subsequent warnings and alerts in 2005, 7, 10 and 12 have clearly highlighted the exposure of the country to such natural hazards. And the need has thus arisen to develop appropriate mitigation measures in the country. When the exposure of Sri Lanka to tsunami hazards is concerned, it is evident that the country is exposed to two tsunami generating zones. One is the Sunda Trench located to the east, and there's another zone, Makran Fault of the coast of Pakistan, located to the northwest. And it is also evident that these zones are located thousands of kilometers away from the country, meaning that the country is threatened by far-field tsunamis as opposed to near-field tsunamis. Now, when you consider tsunamis generated in the Sunda Trench, the arrival times are well in excess of 1 hour. And some research has been done at the university regarding tsunamis generated in the Makran Fault, and the results indicated that the arrival times are well in excess of 2 hours, could be even 3, 4, 5 hours. So in view of these circumstances, it is evident that an early warning system together with an evacuation system would be very effective in mitigating adverse impact of tsunamis in the country. And when you consider, when the early warning systems are considered, as we all know, there was no such system prior to the event in 2004, but now the system has been, early warning system has been established with the Met Department as the focal point, and warnings have been issued in 2005, 7, 10 and 2012 recently. And the Met Department has reached the capability now of issuing a warning within 15 to 20 minutes of the event of an tsunami causing earthquake. And then when the success of an early warning system is concerned, it is closely related to the effectiveness of the evacuation system. And the evacuation system basically depends on the public response to the warnings issued. And in view of these circumstances, a study was carried out to assess the public awareness on tsunami hazards and to assess the early warning system established in the country, how effective it is, and to assess the public response to the warnings issued. The study was conducted in the form of a questionnaire survey carried out in the first half of 2001, and it was conducted along the coastal belt of the country affected by the 2004 tsunami, from Colombo along the southwest coast down to Hambantota on the eastern side, Kothwell, Patiklo, Trincomalee, Mullatiu up to Point Pedro and KKS areas. And the questionnaires were mainly in Sinhala and Tamil, and to a much lesser extent in English. And about 1,000 were distributed, and about 750 were returned. And the analysis is based on the response, based on about 650 responses. And in this presentation, the results of the preliminary analysis are presented. But during the survey, more information was gathered through the questionnaire sheets, and those which are required for the detailed analysis, and these include, say, the details of the respondents like age, gender, employment, the level of education, where they are living, how close their residents are to the coastline, and whether they were affected by the tsunami in 2004, or whether they have undergone any training on evacuation, so on. The first part of the questionnaire concentrated on assessing the awareness on, public awareness on tsunami hazards. And there the attention was focused on the awareness of tsunamis prior to 2004 and the public knowledge on potential future tsunamis and the knowledge on causes of tsunamis and the knowledge on mitigation measures. Now, when it comes to the knowledge prior to 2004, the results indicated that the majority did not know what the tsunami was. The response was about 76% did know what tsunami was prior to 2004, but rather surprisingly, about 24% indicated that they were aware of tsunamis. Perhaps that's because of the well-recorded historical event of sea inundation during the reign of King Kalnithis. And then when questioned about the awareness, or sorry, when the potential of a future tsunami, again the majority, about 78%, correctly said that it's very difficult to predict. And I think that is scientifically correct. And about 15% indicated that there is a high probability of tsunamis, and a small minority believe that the risk of the country is very low. And then the knowledge on the causes of tsunami or tsunami generation. Tsunamis can be caused by a variety of reasons, but the most common cause is the undersea earthquakes. About 85% of the tsunamis are generated by undersea earthquakes, and the majority, about 77%, was aware of that fact. And few others were aware of the other causes of tsunami, and about 16% were not aware of the causes of tsunamis. And then the knowledge on mitigation measures. And again, right, there's a wide variety of mitigation measures like preventive structures, bioshields, proper coastal development with setbacks and so on. But the majority identified the early warning system as an effective mitigation measure. When you compare the two the graphs, right, in the regions affected by the tsunami in 2004, about 63% identified that the warning system is very effective. Even in other areas, almost half identified the tsunami early warning system is as an effective mitigation system. So in general, based on this, based on their knowledge prior to the 2004 event, hardly knowledge, and then since then, they are well aware of the cause of tsunamis, and they know that it's very difficult to predict tsunamis in the future, and they are aware of appropriate mitigation measures. So in general, from these results, it can be concluded that the Sri Lankan public is now well aware of tsunami hazards. The second part of the questionnaire concentrated on assessing the effectiveness of the early warning system. Their attention was focused on the percentage receiving the warning, the clarity of warning if they received, and the mode of receiving. First, the percentages received the early warning, the three events, 2005, 7 and 10. The results indicate clearly a large majority, close upon 80%, received the message. In 2005, it was just below 80%, 2007 gone up, 80 plus, and 2010, nearly 90% received the early warning. And then the next question was, okay, if you received the warning, was it clear? And here the results clearly indicate that, yes, the message was very clear. 2005, almost 80% understood what it is. 2007, slight increase. 2010, further increase. So the message the warning has been received by the majority public, and it was very clear. And then the question, it was checked how the message was received by a variety of ways, from the internet, neighbors, police, radio, telephone, television. If you group them together for a sort of more convenient analysis, the results indicated that the electronic media communication methods played a dominant role in sending the early warning to the general public. According to the information, the results here, nearly 75% of the public received the warning through radio, telephone and television. And another significant way of receiving is by neighbors, and that indicates the social interaction of the communities. And the role of police gradually increased. 2005, very small percentage was guided or informed by the police. The percentage increased to about 5% in 2007, and in 2004, it has gone up to 15%. So as far as the early warning system is concerned, the message has gone to a large percentage of the community, and it was very clear. And It was mainly received by the electronic media and through social interactions. So it was, I think, delivered very quickly, which indicates that at the moment in the country, there is an effective early warning system. The third part of the question I concentrated on the public response to the warning issue. And there the attention was focused on whether people evacuated, and if so, the time taken for evacuation and where they went. The percentage evacuated during the 3 warnings alert issued indicated in the top chart. And there again, it is very clear that a very high percentage evacuated. 2005, it's 60+%. 2007 gone up to nearly 70%, and in 2010, it has exceeded 70%. So, majority of the public evacuated after receiving the early warning. Then another question was asked, what their first or immediate response was after the warning was received. Now, there are a variety of responses were recorded, and a small percentage first ignored the warning, but they may have evacuated later. But the majority checked whether the warning is correct. They verified the warning. And another relatively smaller percentage forwarded the message to the others. And a small percentage, the first reaction was they got ready for evacuation but did not do so immediately. And a small percentage evacuated immediately. And there are some other sort of responses. So the evacuation was, the rate was very high. And then since there were various immediate responses for evacuation, it was important to assess the time taken for evacuation. And again, the 3 results indicate that a significant percentage evacuated within 15 minutes after receiving the warning, and another significant percentage evacuated within the next 15 minutes. So when you consider the first half an hour after receiving the warning, in all 3 occasions, 2005, 7 and 10, more than 75% evacuated within half an hour, which is highly favorable. And then when they evacuated, the next question was where they went, or did they know where to go? And again, the results are encouraging. Many of them, the majority had a prior knowledge on where to go. They knew where to go. And another significant percentage, about 25%, went to a familiar place. So they knew where they were going. And another significant percentage, around 25%, were guided by the police. And only a very small minority did know exactly where to go. They simply followed the orders. So as far as the public response is concerned, high percentage of evacuation, a high percentage of evacuation within 30 minutes, and they knew where to go. So based on these findings, it can be generally concluded that there's a very favorable response to the warnings issued. And then on conclusion, based on the preliminary results, we can say that now the Sri Lankan public is well aware of tsunami hazards, and there is an effective early warning system in place, and there is a favorable response to the warnings issued. So an early warning system together with an evacuation system has been very successful in the country up to now. But there are a few concerns. One is that out of the vulnerable communities, 13% did not receive the early warning. This may be a small percentage, but if you think of population about 1 million, this can be a significant number. And the other concern is, although they received the early warning, about 29%, this was in 2001, did not evacuate. So it's very important to know why they didn't do so, and if any improvements are needed, how they can be made. And perhaps a more detailed analysis of the data obtained would be required to address or to identify these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Dr. Ratnasooriya